Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Talking Horses. Maggie Wolfendale and Andy Serling. The upset of today is that Maggie's glasses are dirtier than mine.
No, they're just fogging up.
That's the
This
biggest
is why I
upset of the
don't
entire
wear them.
meet.
I am so blind. I generally wear contacts, and I'm trying to nurse an old
like
pair
the
through to the
glasses.
new ones. I like them too, but not on these steamy days. I don't know how you deal with this.
Anyone that knows me, any of my friends that saw this would laugh at that because I have the most disgustingly dirty glass of all time. I always have my friends taking them and say they have to clean them. Or say they're actually reasonably clean today.
I was just
It's
saying, I
amazing.
don't notice anything wrong
Anyway,
today. Probably because I
on
can't
to
see out
bigger
of
and
mine.
better and slightly less important or more important things, head over to Naira Bets. If you're not a member of Naira Bets, no better time than present. Use the promo code BONUS200. We will match for $200 of your initial deposit. Did they put up Classic Causeway there as a joke to me? Oh, because he won the Belmont Derby last year.
Every time. They just...
It's the worst thing that ever
screwing
happened
you.
to him. The
Yeah,
worst
I
thing that ever
know.
happened to
Poor
poor Classic
guy.
Causeway was winning
Poor
the Belmont
guy.
Derby. Who knew? We also, this is really the pivotal, this is the highlight. My day is downhill from here. The middle pick four, races 2, 3, and 9, or races 2, 3, and 6 for pick fours today. We also have a cross-country pick 5. This will probably surprise people because we rarely have these. 3 from Monmouth, 2 from here, our 6th and 7th. We have a $5,000 hit and split, the Monmouth Park Late Pick 5 and the Belmont Park Late Pick 5. Opt in at Naira Bets, free money if you're playing those and you hit them. And we got free to play. Free2play.nairabets.com. Real prizes are awards. Is that supposed to fake prizes?
I don't know.
Just wondering. It's one of those days. And at least the leaf blower's off, Maggie. So we just got that.
We just got some tractors to keep you on your toes going
Yeah,
behind
but
us.
that's nothing compared to that leaf blower.
No,
You
that
guys
was brutal.
thought the tractor in Saratoga. Belmont Derby next Saturday. Belmont Derby Day. Belmont Derby, Belmont Oaks, Suburban,
The
Victory Ride.
foxes. Looking
Yeah,
for
we were talking about the foxes
coming
coming in. We
Yeah.
were talking about that in the call today. It was
I think the Derby, the Epsom Derby, is pretty live this year.
Yeah,
I
a couple
think
horses did
have
well.
already
Ascot
come- yeah.
out of it. He was 5th in there. He'll
Yep.
be the horse to beat. Family fun activities coming out. The final Saturday here at the Belmont meeting. Final Saturday until next spring, summer. So I know it's
cry.
amazing, right? How fast it. That's why I always say, 'cause people would say we get to Belmont. They're like, can't wait to get to Saratoga. And I'm like, no, I really want to enjoy Belmont for a couple
I love
months.
this place so much. And obviously, we're on to bigger and better things with the construction, but to not come back here in the fall makes me really sad.
It's so easy for me to go to Aqueduct, or easier.
Yeah.
But it's nice here. I
This is
agree.
home.
I
This is a
agree.
beautiful home to
Belmont's a
me.
great place.
Yeah.
But the new building's going to be amazing, and it's going to be an incredible welcome change. As much as we love Belmont, I was walking in. Listen, I've been coming here, Maggie, a long, long time. And '75 was the first time I came to Belmont, and it sort of is home.
Yeah.
But the reality is, a lot's changed since I came here in '75.
true.
The first time I came here in '75 was for the Marlboro Cup, and they were handing out free cigarettes, Marlboro. That's how the world has changed, okay, right? So, and I'm sure there's people watching at home that remember coming out of the Marlboro Cup, they had promotional packs of like 3 or 4 cigarettes. Incredible, right?
Oh,
to think about
wow. I mean, and that was, only 50 years ago?
that? 40, I think I was here in '76 and '77. I think they were still giving them
Yeah.
out then.
Yeah.
They gave out free programs with the
Yeah.
Marlboro, like the logo on the cover with a special program and stuff.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, no. First time I was here was when Wajima defeated Forgo. Anyhow, next year I was here when Forgo ran down Honest Pleasure. It's the first race I ever watched in the box area at Belmont. Ralph Thoreau Sr.
Oh,
took
neat.
me out to the boxes, and I watched that right in the
that's
finish,
really
right
cool.
past the finish line when Forgo caught.
a great
I can
memory.
still have a visual. Father
Yeah.
Hogan was 3rd, and finally, last but certainly not least, 1 to 5:30 FS2, the America's Day at the Races. So, race number 1, we have had an amazing run of luck as far as dodging potentially bad weather. Now
We
they're
have.
saying there may be some rain after the
And I
races
feel like we've
today.
just gotten enough to kind of keep the courses taking over.
Yeah.
So, we've had some downpours. You really, you're going to see off the turf when you have those long soaking rains. But in the hindsight, they actually are good for the grass
course.
to regenerate growth. But as far as our meet's concerned, we've done very well this meet.
Preakness weekend was really the only
Only
time that
one.
we lost turf
Yeah.
racing that
Ooh,
weekend.
That was a rough day on Preakness Day. It was cold.
Oh, it was cold. It was awful,
And it
yeah.
wouldn't stop. It was like sideways rain. Anyway, we're past that.
I was inside, so really it wasn't that bad for me, just in case anybody's worried about me. I was okay. Race number 1. So, race number 1, let's start with Collect from Ike.
Okay.
I guess the question with him is how much you sort of trust that 75 buyer going forward. I mean, you look at Good Rapport, who won 67 buyer before it, 67 buyer after it. I tell you what, though, he did improve dramatically on the turf.
Well, the thing was, is that they separated themselves from the field. He and Good Rapport, who just nosed him out in the end. I mean, it was 3 1/4 lengths back to the third place finisher. So I do feel as though it's legit. He was able to capitalize on a very good trip. He also showed some tenacity, which I like to see. And today, he could work out to be the speed in here. I mean, we'll see what Shakin' the Bell does more from the inside with the blinkers on, too. But he projects to sit the right kind of trip, too, as well. But, again, and it could be that he is that good. But it also feels like there's some more interesting options.
I agree. You've taken Wisecracken. Have at it.
Yeah, Wisecracken gets a little bit of a makeover here. And while Michelle Nevin, it feels like maybe going back a couple years, a lot of times her horses would need races. But it feels as though this year, for whatever reason, they're coming back off the layoff and they're running. And they're showing that they're fit enough and they're ready to go. And for me, he just faced a world of better horses in his 2 turf starts. So I do think that, with this kind of makeover, with the drop in class, he's a legitimate player. And I like the fact that, too, in his second start, he showed a bit more foot.
And he's going to be a bigger price. I mean, because I took the obvious alternative, and that's Rockstar Red, who's the drop down for Bill Mott. And to be fair, he really hasn't done a lot of running in his races. Has he run against better horses? Yes. But I thought maybe he was the right drop down. I just wasn't sure if Wisecracken did much running. And I went to Rockstar Red, but in a lot of ways, they're very similar type horses, only Rockstar Red, yes, he has recency, but he's going to be a much, much shorter price. Mata's numbers are okay with his drop downs. Because the thing is, you look at Elevated Causeway and Steady Scheming, and I know that this was a frustrating beat for you with Steady Scheming, and I would.
That was a terrible
I'm not going to blame,
relative to this
one.
one.
I'm not going to blame Jose Ortiz. I'm sure when it was over, Jose thought, maybe I moved, 10 yards too soon or something.
Hindsight 2020, he's a horse that you can't really take a hold of. He's not one that's going to be able to switch gears, you know what I mean, to take back and then have another gear to go forward again. And I think, he started running and Jose was just like, okay, I'm going to go with this. And it's just not the way the race worked out in the end.
He's supposed to win.
I agree with you.
Supposed to beat St. James, who was 0 for 13 coming in.
I don't like him in this spot.
No, I think this is just a better feel with the drop downs and even collect from Ike. We'll see what happens in race number 1. Race number 2. Maggie, I thought the Sweet Mystery was, wow. Wait, race?
Yeah. Whoa, you guys went to the third on our picks.
Guys, those are not my picks.
That's the third race, guys.
Are you in a hurry to leave? We're the ones sitting out. You guys are very freezing in the truck. Yeah, we both have Sweet Mystery, and we'll show Sweet Mystery's race 2 races back at Aqueduct. Maggie, I don't know about you. I just thought she was better than these horses.
No, I know. You need to be nicer to Craig Mikowski, who's filling in, right? Didn't he do these odds?
No, I don't need to be. I'm very nice to Craig. I'm very nice to Craig, but Craig's butchery of yesterday's morning lines, he has to take some abuse for that. He has to take some abuse for that.
I mean, don't you think? I mean, maybe it's a trainer thing.
He's one of my favorite guys. So.
Isn't Sweet Mystery supposed to be favored anyway?
What price did he make her?
3 to 1 versus 2 to 1. I mean, they're similar.
Who's 2 to 1?
Cinderella's Cause.
Yeah, I mean, no, I don't think I didn't think this was. I don't think that's so egregious. I mean, I mean maybe they'll be the similar prices. I don't think it's that. I mean, that's not what I'm going to pick on. I'm going to pick on making Weyburn the 3rd choice and Cherie's horse the 4th choice at 6 to 1. And not realizing that that bum in the last race, and was going to be favored, the 7 horse, the Mission horse.
6.
But I won a drink off of Eric because of that, so that was good.
Hit him up for Hamlet and Ghost in Saratoga, aren't you?
Well, I always pay. I'm just happy to pay.
So Sweet
Just happy
Mystery.
to have a drink with Eric. It's like an honor to have with him. I don't care who pays.
It's just a better feel. Look, a lot of these horses have run against each other. And when we last saw Sweet Mystery running, when we last saw her, she was just running against
figures that are better than these.
horses. Yeah. And 2, she was on a wide hunt throughout on a wet track. She's back to a fast track today. And not that she's run poorly on a wet track. She's just better on a fast one. And I just think she's better than the rest of these.
I have a question. Is Eric Cancel still injured or is he hurt? He did ride last week, right? Didn't he ride on Sunday?
He only
He
rode
rode your
Granny's
horse.
Connection.
What?
He only rode Granny's Connection. I brought it up on the show. I said, look, Eric hasn't been riding. This is his only mount of the day, and we haven't seen him since.
You know, he really wasn't the most badly behaved person in that race, so I'd be very careful where you go with that.
Moving on.
Yeah, I don't really have much else to say. You know, my feeling with My First Love is that there was a time when she was really in good form. She's lost it a little bit, but I thought if somebody, I'd almost rather take her to win this race than Cinderella's Cause, because I feel like that Sweet Mystery is supposed to run her race and it might just be the race. I mean, Cinderella's Cause could obviously win.
Yeah.
But maybe My First Love is the one horse that has the figs to step up and beat her.
I agree
Maybe
with you.
she's
She
just past
has
her
some back
in the
class,
races.
but okay, and true, she did. When it was noted she bled was back in January, and she's since come back, and she's run a fast race, 3 back when she won. But watching her last few races, she's been on the wrong lead. She
should have been second last time.
Exactly. And I know Buston Bay kind of was a heavy favorite and ran away with the field that day. But for me, I just feel as though she might be going in the wrong direction.
You know who won't be unhappy to get back to Aqueduct for extended periods of time? Jimmy Ferraro.
Oh, yeah.
It's like Jimmy just really.
Him and
just-
Oscar Barrera.
They just do better. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things. Race number 3 is the Stake, the Perfect Sting. I'm so old. I remember Perfect Sting. It was a terrific horse. Joe Orsino trained her for Frank Stonick. I think she was.
She's
like,
fast. She
14 for
she was
21.
one that just went to the lead and kept going, wasn't
I
she?
feel like she
Yeah.
was forward. I'm
Yeah.
not. Yeah.
Feel like she
She won the second. I believe she won the second Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare.
Yep.
Turf. We'll take a look at one of my favorite horses. Technical Analysis is back, and the truth is she's the speed here. I mean, I suppose they could let Evie Jets go, but she's really
No,
faster.
they'd be silly to let Evie Jets
I think
go.
you just go with her. She's terrific. You know, I mean, her Diana was probably her best race in the Boston Spa. She beat Fluffy Socks. I'm not going to try to beat her in here, Maggie.
No. I tried, and I was like, no, there's just no way, because Haughty has one figure, and
On a
that's
gold
it.
rail.
And that was on a gold rail, like when she controlled. She's not controlling today over her stablemate. I mean, you do have Flavian Pratt, who can be at times a little bit more aggressive than Jose Ortiz, so maybe he goes, but still you're going to have technical analysis breathing down your neck the entire time.
No, she's faster than Howdy.
That's what I
think.
thought, too.
And I also think Howdy was used. I think that she probably needed to race last time, and she ended up being more of a rabbit in that race.
Well,
And-
she broke a bit awkwardly, too, and then and then they were like, oh, I got to go, and then she just wasn't persevered with through the stretch. But one thing that did stick out to me in my mind is when I interviewed Chad Brown about the Warfront filly that won last week, the Wild Applause, whose name, Liguria, that a lot of his, why are you smirking?
I was just watching you have this sort of
Train of
stream
thought?
of conscience
Yeah.
with yourself and pretending you were actually talking to me.
Thanks for listening.
I listen to everything you say.
But he did say that a lot of his horses didn't appreciate the Churchill Downs turf course. So that
That's
kind
his
of stuck
excuse
in
to be
my.
sticking with it.
He is. I'm gonna ride it out with him too. But I respect Haughty, but she's not beating.
Yeah, I
technical
mean, we'll show her
analysis.
race. We're talking about the Lake Placid. And listen, the one thing I'll say about Haughty is, and listen, she had everything her own way this day. And I'm not whining. I bet her because I thought she'd have everything her own way.
Yep.
And
Same.
the truth is that with the Moonlight, these horses, they haven't shown to be good enough. Now, I thought McCulloch didn't run that badly in the New York, and maybe she could continue to have some upside. But the one thing about Howdy is she really hasn't had that much of a chance to show us what she is, right?
I do
mean,
agree with you.
You know, it's like the Belmont
Yeah,
Oaks was too far.
right.
She runs this race. Now she's off for a year. She comes back in Churchill in a tough spot. She's very forward in the race. And it's like, I don't know Howdy is yet. And I think that we should at least be open to the possibility that Howdy could take some steps forward and become a better horse. I agree with you in this race, but I don't think that it's out of the realm of possible that Howdy takes some big step forwards
I
in the
agree
coming
with
races.
you. I've always kind of liked her, and I thought she moved forward physically from 2 to 3. She started looking really good too, and then boom, she runs that big race and she's gone. So it's just it's about getting her back on track, I think.
I'm dying to hear how you're moving up customer list in here.
I don't know.
This horse has just been such a massive disappointment. Wooten
I
Bassett's
just thought that maybe and I think technical analysis, it doesn't matter how fast they go, but there are horses that want to be forward in here, and she's the one that's kind of the lone
Yeah.
closer, and that's why
Sit
I
back
chucked
and
her.
last and just make a run because
Exactly.
Evie Jetson will show her way in the Plenty of Grace. She's an incredibly admirable horse, and I don't want to just dismiss her. You know, I mean, she beat White Beam, who came back to win, that they have some high hopes for. So I wouldn't be, shocked to see her be somewhat effective here. She's got it. These are better horses, though, particularly the favorite.
Exactly. I mean, and she was kind of, I would say maybe a little bit embarrassed when she stepped up to the Grade 3 Beaugay last time.
Yeah, that was a
against
tough spot.
better
Market
horses,
segmentation,
and
consumer spending.
Yeah, I respect her. I think she's cool. I commend the job that the Cantamazzi's have done with her after her being a claimer.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I just don't think this is the right field for her to win.
She has stalked and gotten pieces of it, so I think she'll run okay. But this is a tough spot. And
Yeah.
see, just as the West Point Cherie horse yesterday,
Yeah,
Northern Invader. He's the better Invader. He appears to be better than Decorated Invader, the most overrated horse of all
Throwing some
time.
shade.
It's a West Point horse. That's why I was making fun.
But he's just won a maiden and Decorated Invader at least one graded stakes. I know he ran a hole in the wind. I'm not saying he didn't. I was so mad my Naira bets wouldn't load. I like Tarigo in there.
Oh,
He was
really?
A distant second, but yeah.
No, he got a 94 buyer yesterday.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it and talking about it. Program trading was so impressed last week at the same figure,
3-year-olds are stepping up.
and redistricting is going to try the Belmont Derby, which we're drawing Tuesday, Monday, tomorrow.
Who's he by?
He's a
Is he
Kingman. He's a Kingman.
I don't love them going
Well,
that much
domestic
longer.
spending was a Kingman.
Also true.
So, and obviously in his second start, but I was thinking how at the beginning of the year, the 3-year-old males on turf looked like the worst bunch you'd ever
I
seen.
know. I remember you saying
And
that.
it's just they were terrible. And
Yeah.
I think it's one of the reasons that people overrate horses out of the Breeders' Cup juvenile turf races. Even the Euros that come and win, how good are they really? Because they're
Not.
beating up on pretty weak horses.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the reasons that Pizza Bianca was overrated.
Yeah.
That she ran well to win the Breeders' Cup, but doesn't mean she's that good because you won the Breeders'
too,
Cup.
like Jose
It should be great
orchestrated
ones.
the Ortiz
Right.
brilliant ride on her. I mean, that was one of the best rides I've ever seen him give.
It's a great race to get to if you're an owner because you have a chance to win a Breeders' Cup race with a horse that there's a very good chance isn't going to really be a true Grade 1 horse.
Yep.
The reality is those races probably shouldn't be Grade 1s.
And but that's the truth of it with a lot of I mean, yes, the Breeders' Cup Juvenile is usually at least a decent indicator, but then you
Yeah.
have that kind of the Derby curse where a lot of those horses, it takes a really special horse to go on to win the Breeders' Cup Juvenile and win the Derby. This year we didn't have the chance to see that, but
And Cave Rock hasn't run at all, right?
no.
Yeah.
So it's a lot about having the right horse at the right time when it comes to
But
the
the turfs,
two-year-olds.
I mean, it's how much it's turned around between the two Chad
They
Brown
just
horse
seem
we
to take a
mentioned
lot
and,
longer
and
to
Northern
develop.
Invader. Yeah, but I mean, Far Bridge, and
Right.
I don't know where Carl Spackler is after his debacle
Yeah.
at Churchill. I don't
Yeah.
know what happened, but I mean, even Talk of the Nation, who I believe is running Friday. We're drawing that race, the Manila. And it's funny. There's a horse that was nominated. I have a feeling could be in there. The Godolphin horse, that Mysterious Knight, is that his name? The horse who had
can't remember.
decent form and then blew the field out in the summer, whichever the colt race is up at
In
those
Woodbine?
faux Grade 1s they run at Woodbine. They're faux Grade 1s. They're not really Grade 1s. They wouldn't be Grade 1s if we graded them in this country. But he's been terrible in 2 starts this year over in Europe.
Okay.
But that's the Manila on Friday.
I know who you're talking about now. I can't think of his name.
I think isn't it Mysterious Knight?
Yeah.
It sounds
I
right.
think so.
Yeah, I was looking at that. Anyway, we digress, but Maggie and I like to digress. I thought race number 3, maybe I think race number 4
I
is
was like, wait, what?
far more interesting race than it is.
Okay.
I think there's a lot going on. And Maggie, I'm not going to deny that Fancy Azteca is the horse to beat. But I also
defaulted a little bit,
wonder a
not gonna
little
lie.
bit if she was kind of a good winter horse, and there might be just a lot more interesting horses here. So
I-
I'm going to try to be. I'm not wildly against her. I just want to
looked
take some stands here.
long and hard at the horse you put on top. In number
Well, we'll
3,
get to her
Tribal
eventually.
Queen.
She's my second replay.
I
of the show.
almost put Vax on top but I just thought that,
Really?
yeah.
But Luna Loca was down on the dead rail. I
Okay.
would rather
Yeah.
bet Luna Loca out of that race than Vax.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
the other problem I have with Vax is like, where did that race come from? So either she's
I
turned
just
it
thought
around.
she got better.
No, she did, but maybe she did. Now, you're going to take the better approach.
And it feels like the
she's gonna
maker
beat me.
horses usually run better second off of a layoff than first off.
I always like Mama Teresa or Dam, who was trained by
Oh my gosh,
Dominic
she's had
Scalucio.
so many good foals too. Like
Yeah,
good,
no,
you know,
it's a good
solid
family.
New
Yep.
York breds.
And even second generation.
And then and then you have Candy Caramel, who
We'll
I
show
mean,
her replay
sure,
from two back.
we'll respect, but do you really trust her coming
Well,
in here?
Chris Englehart has been having a very, very good run.
He has
so for
been,
that
quietly
reason,
too. He's not winning like big
yeah,
races, but you know
his horses
these
are running,
showing
and
up.
they're running very well. I saw him yesterday as I was getting a cookie, by the way, in case you're interested. You may be shocked here I went to get a cookie.
Yeah, you're worse than me. when it
I'm
comes to
actually, it's
cookies.
better at Belmont where I don't have cookies in my face all day long like Aqueduct. So I can't resist a cookie. Yeah, I don't love these Oaklawn horses. And he's getting the horse from Peter Miller. Got to have
And
tough
like
to
she
improve.
just, I don't know. It feels like
Two
there
for
might be a
12.
plateau, and like her plateau might
Maybe
be good
good
enough
enough.
to win
Yeah,
here.
yeah.
I get it, but and she just never had a break, man. They've never really given her a chance to see if maybe there's a better horse in there, you know?
No, I agree. She's okay. And listen, and she can win. Fancy Azteca can win. I'm not taking a big stand against them. I just had a couple others I mentioned.
So where was your
I want
edge?
Luna Loca off
Sure.
the dead rail last time,
Okay.
claimed by Linda. And I know Kendrick's on her, and people are going to see Jose Ortiz on Fancy Azteca, but that doesn't mean that she can't win with the other one. It's not like
No, that, I
you know,
don't
she
put
can-
much into that. I mean, Luna Loca is Kendrick's horse. I mean,
Yeah,
he's ridden her for
and a
most
dead
of her
rail last
career.
time, so I'm going to give her. I like horse of that, and she's got some back figs, and I like Linda when she claims horses with back figs
Mm-hmm.
to try to get to them. As far as Tribal Queen, we'll take a look at her winning. Okay, first start she ran second at a short price in a 2-year-old maiden race, doesn't matter. Then she was on a dead rail in a very tough maiden race. Raging Sea, who hasn't come back yet this year, she was almost won the Alcibiades. Was she like fourth in the Breeders' Cup, second, third? She was somewhere in the Breeders'
I
Cup. right?
picked her.
She wasn't second because
I
I
think
bet the Phil
she
Serpy
was
horse
third
was
or
second.
fourth.
Okay, and then she's on a dead rail that day. Then she comes back and she wins at Aqueduct. Bang. Then they run on the slop at a mile and eighth in the Demoiselle. Well, she
Yeah,
had a
no.
big shot in there.
No.
37 was
She
probably an
sprinted.
underlay.
Yeah.
And then in her next start, she goes down to Laurel, and something seems to have gone wrong because she's off for 5 months after, 4.5 months after that race. And she comes back and they put her on the turf, which to me feels like a total prep
Right.
just to give her a race. And now she's dropping down. Now maybe she just can't run anymore. But, and I don't know how good she really is, but maybe she's a horse that just hasn't really had a chance to show if she can run. And it's not like her 61 buyer's a 2-year-old with a little routine improvement doesn't
No,
put her in the
doesn't
ball
put-
game.
exactly.
So I just thought she was worth a little bit of a shot for Tony.
You know what's funny is I thought she was a total turf sprinter. She was entered for the turf that day. It came off and she won.
Well,
So-
Boltoro's been okay on the turf.
Yeah, so the fact that she didn't run that well on the turf at Monmouth pushed me away from her a little bit.
That's a tough deal. She's chasing Glitter Up,
Exactly.
older horses,
and
in a turf
as you
sprint.
said, she probably needed it.
Yeah. I have an odd question for you, and I forgot to look it up.
Oh,
I
God.
feel like I bet Glitter Up in her turf debut with Trevor, and she got beaten at the wire.
Yeah, and I didn't like her that
Didn't
day.
Lost My Sock beat her by a nose? Isn't the horse who was second the horse that beat her? At like
No.
50-1?
I don't think so.
Lost My Sock, a Phil Serpy horse.
No,
Look
I
it
don't
up.
know who Lost My Socket.
Oh, yeah, you do.
I do?
I'm almost sure that she used to run around here.
Oh, wait a minute. You might be right. Hold on.
Is it possible they were 1-2 in the other award in the maiden race? Because that would really annoy me.
That would be so funny. Okay.
Maggie and I are having fun here.
Yeah. Keep going. Keep talking.
All
What
right.
are we talking about? Okay, Monmouth.
Lost My Sock, Glitter Up.
Lost
Anyway,
My sock.
I think the fourth is a potentially interesting race. And listen,
Yes.
is
You're
it?
s- you're
Lost My
sick.
Sock to let her
You're
beat her?
sick.
I
You
actually
remember
had
that stuff.
I had a more incredible one, but it's not involving horse race, involving the Grateful Dead. A memory from 42 years ago, which I'm not going to bore people with on TV. Race number 5. Island Rose. This is the second time she's been scratched. Wasn't
Ooh,
she entered
yes.
a week or so ago?
Yes, and I picked her. I
Yeah.
had her in the mix for Charlie
Yeah.
Baker. It's the second. You're exactly right.
Maggie stole my horse here. Just admit it.
Huh? What? When?
Just kidding. You're
Um,
so easy.
I know.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. Why wouldn't we be best in this race? She runs once. She's on a dead rail. She
Yeah.
breaks slow. She's
She
on the
took
dead rail
money
in the
that
slop. She
day.
took money. They went in a turf route, and now she's running. I'm supposed to bet souffle, and Craig's probably right.
No
The souffle will be short in here.
I mean, she has that work, the 47 on June 16th on the main track. Okay, fine. But at the end of the day, she is bred to be more of a turf horse, and she's been the beaten favorite in all 3 starts so far.
It's kind of a give up.
Absolutely.
Kind of, I've had enough. Now, I scratched into her for a second because the 7 scratched out of here, and I'm not really sure who else I'm supposed to want.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
it's all be best for me.
All be best. And then, Shotgun Patsy. Okay, she is a gun runner, fine, but it's not like he does that well with his 3-year-old debuters. He's only 8%. The Dam, she was a New York Bred Stakes winner, but she has not produced anything.
No,
so far.
Her producer horses have been bad.
And all due respect to Joey Martinez, and he gets on a lot of horses for Bill Mott, but is Bill Mott really reaching out?
Unless he's trying to catch, is this like like
two
Woody
to one
Stevens
in the
riding
morning.
Joe Brock? By the way, Shotgun Patsy's not going to be 2-1 with Joey
No,
Martinez,
I know,
Craig.
yeah.
You butchered that one. Do you know that when Woody Stevens ran Danzig first time, Joe Brocklebank rode him to help him get a big price.
Nice.
Woody knew how to cash a bet.
Nice, Woody.
I have a question, and I may be wrong with it. Does Mike Rutherford buy a lot of horses? It feels like the horses we see are homebreds. No? Or is he buying this horse maybe as a potential broodmare or something? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That maybe that's sort of the
mean,
idea.
Maybe.
I could be totally wrong about this. I feel like when I see Mike Rutherford horses, he's usually bred them.
Yeah.
But maybe I'm
no,
wrong.
you're right. It usually has. I mean, the one that has the best pedigree, I think, at the first-time starters is the 2.
Second Dam. The Dam was unraced, right? First foal.
Yeah, but a
Second
distorted
Dam was
humor?
good. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He's just pensioned.
Distorted humor. He's getting old.
He's 30, I think.
Do you know who the 1, 2, 3 finishers were in the King's Bishop, now Alan Jerkins, when he ran it in '96? It was
More Than Ready.
Honor and
Oh,
and
that's
Glory beat
after him.
Elusive Quality by a dirty nose. Sorry to bring
Wow.
that one up, Bill. And Distorted Humor was third.
Wow.
Pretty amazing when you think about the 3 of them, right? Being 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Maybe the Aspen will also run better on Holy. I've got the horse third, but
I
don't know. If this
don't
horse
like
is
that
any good.
race.
Yeah.
I don't like those horses. They have not come back to run well at all.
Well, I mean, Foxy Kara's run out of trouble in there, and how she did not run well in her subsequent
Nope.
start here last week.
Danzadora
We will take
ran
a break.
terribly.
We'll take a break, but we'll be back with the late pick 4, the third pick 4.
For almost 150 years, the Saratoga name has been synonymous with the finest quality, sustainably sourced spring water available anywhere. Saratoga carries on the rich tradition of its forefathers by crafting each stunning blue glass bottle with the same attention to detail and care that has been its hallmark for generations. Visit SaratogaSpringwater.com today or ask for us by name at your local market or restaurant. Saratoga Spring Water. Make every day exquisite.
We are back. Maggie Wolfendale and Andy Serling. Sunday here, a quiet Sunday. We're racing through Tuesday, by the way. Does this throw your entire sort of schedule off? I guess with you, with the kids and everything, it's
Well,
more of a
summer's
Groundhog
just-
Day than it is for me.
Correct, especially with them out of school.
Yeah.
I'm just like, whatever. Get up. Gotta work.
Race number 6 is a super fun race, I think. And I'm going to start. I don't know why. Why am I starting with Provision? Does anybody like Provision? Let's start with
I
Provision.
mean, I think he's a
No, he's going to take money.
little
No, he can win. He's
interesting.
IRAD, too. We'll start
Yeah.
with him. He's going to take money. I don't know. Doesn't it feel like he? Okay, here's what I want to say about his race, and we'll show it. And there is a reason I'm showing it. He actually ran very, very well in this race.
Incredibly well. Now, Andy, I
didn't realize how well
him,
he ran until I watched the replay.
He's on this wide. He got away slow. Then he's on a wide hunt.
Whole
He
way.
never had cover. Never saved any ounce of ground.
No right to win this race.
3 to 4 wide the entire way. Where Paratus, yes, was out the back too, but at least he got to save some ground.
Paradis
Tip
should
out.
have won.
And Paradis was the more of kind of the drop down horse.
Yep.
And I mean, Provision just looked like a completely different animal than what I had seen from him as a 2-year-old going back to his New York races last year. So I think he is a better horse this year, and there is reason to believe the race that he ran, albeit against, I think, some weaker foes.
I agree. I agree with all that. But I guess the point is, and this is an IRAD horse that I think this is the kind of horse I might say is getting overbet. I'm not sure that's going to be the case. Now, let me ask you a question before we get on to King of Comedy. I'll let you talk about him. And I sort of, is Clear Conscience really going to be a strong favorite in here? Man, I hope so.
The trouble, the
What trouble?
I don't know.
Bump, break, steady, 7/16.
He had
Okay.
a little bit of trouble,
Okay.
not much.
That's a race where there was an incident.
Yeah.
I have an extremely different opinion than the chart caller of
Okay.
horses having trouble in that when the incident occurred.
Yes.
And I believe that Clear
Agreed.
Conscience had about as good a trip as a
Okay.
racehorse can get. And I'm not thrilled with him. And out of that race, I prefer your horse a lot.
Oh yeah. I mean, he's supposed to go in here with Javier.
Definitely supposed to go. But also, he was wide. He was 3 wide pretty much the whole way around. And the other thing was,
Exactly.
he far and away the horses on the pace. I mean, the winner was the favorite, but he came from,
Out
from
of
left
the
field. He was
clouds.
at
Oh,
City
totally.
Field on the
Oh,
turn.
I mean,
and
that's
the
the
races
whole
fell
reason
apart.
why I took him in here.
Yeah.
I think it's his race to control, and
No, I
third
think
on-
he's the horse to beat.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think he should be favored in here.
yeah,
I think he is a much more likely winner than Clear Conscience. I don't know how you can look at Clear Conscience, finished, half a length, 3/4 length ahead of him and think that he ran a better race. Because
I
in
mean,
my
I
opinion,
think the
it's not
horse
even
that
close.
I was very much betwixt and between with Noble Huntsman.
Yeah, I'm the
and
same as you.
King
You
of
know, I
Comedy.
went back and forth. They're the 2 horses I want. I'm not as,
I mean,
people want to be
talking
concentrate
about
with my
a horse who
top
had no
pick.
cover, just wide throughout.
Well, let's
he
show
was
that
a
race.
it wasn't the prettiest stretch run because he was lingering on the inside lead. He was lugging in a bit, but this is a horse
Let's show the
that
replay, guys.
showed ability as a
He also,
two-year-old.
let me just start. He got left in here,
He
first
did.
of all,
Yes.
which I think matters. This horse, Maggie, this was the first day the rails were down, and he
And
was
he's
out in the 5 path for most of the
exactly.
race. And he was still running at the end. So the fact that he was tired and having issues changing lead may also have a lot to do with the fact that he was wide like he was.
Right.
And, I mean, this horse never at any point in this race got anything remotely close to a breather.
And two, you saw a con man who was a short price just be able to
ride the
control
inside.
things on the front
Yep.
end.
Yep.
On the inside, exactly. So he ran a lot better than it would appear, I think. And two, I like the fact that Jose Lascano sticks around as well and drawn more towards the inside. He just projects to get a better trip. A mile and an eighth.
That's the mile and eighth for both I think for all of them. The mile and eighth bothers me a little bit. He has run well at a mile and 16. He's a 2-year-old, to be fair.
He
So,
has,
but
and I've always thought that longer is better, but that's not exactly what his races hint at.
you know what's funny about Whistler's Honor? I remember I saw him there. I'm like, why do I know this horse? Why do I know this horse? This is the horse that got completely buried here, 2 back with Jose. He couldn't even ride him.
Oh yeah.
And then he won with a crazy
And-
trip, and has been out. It's a long layoff. I don't want to completely fall asleep on that horse. That horse is a little interesting here. He didn't have.
beat
He had a
your
triplet.
Mission and Mr.
I
Connecticut.
know, but he had poor Mr. Connecticut. You're really very
He's jumping
mean.
now.
I know he is.
Yeah.
I think that he also had a wild trip in there, so I wouldn't totally disregard him. My feeling is I don't want Clear Conscience in here.
I feel you. I feel like he is the sucker horse that will get bet. Is he really that good? He'll probably win by 4.
He'll win. He will beat me. Race number 7. Well, I don't know about you. I thought Caironi was just way the horse. You picked the same
brutal.
idiotic horse that I picked here?
I scratched into. You scratched it. Did you scratch into the 6?
Yes. I was going to pick at 6-7, but I decided that Caironi couldn't lose.
I
Okay,
did
so tell us why
too.
you like rosemary potatoes, Mag.
But that was a ridiculous trip last time. I know she's stepping up in company.
That's
Miss
what worries
Christie
me.
was 17 lengths out of it behind that runoff Champagne Poetry. And Rosemary Potatoes was not
Yep.
right there early, but first one to take over the lead about the 3/8 pole.
agree with you.
And 2, she
Did
gets
Ryder
Trevor.
switch to Trevor? I agree.
And
Today, if she's ever going to win a race,
it's today.
today's the day.
Third
because
off of a layoff, I thought, first time she definitely needed it. Last time she looked better, but it was not the right trip, not the right circumstances. Today she's supposed to get
she's
the
found
job
the
done.
right field. If Divine Wine,
Especially with Caironi scratching.
Divine Wine, okay, lax room, final 16. Yes. And, this is one where the chart caller isn't wrong.
Right.
And he's doing his job. And the chart
Mhm.
callers here are great. So I'm not in any way being critical of these guys.
Yeah.
But even they probably know, so what? Because, what I would say was worse for him, she did sort of keep getting shuffled out of position in there, but she also stayed ground the entire way. And was she really doing any real running while she was in trouble?
No.
She's the horse to beat, I guess, but I don't know.
I don't particularly trust her. Yes, Peg's AK girl was walking on the front end, and she was really on the muscle early, and she just kept getting, as you kind of mentioned, dragged out of position.
Right.
And
It wasn't Irad's fault. He just had to know where he could go with her.
Right. I think that's more of that was more of a problem than the lacked room. I think she was always going to kind of finish where she was finishing with the early trouble. But I wasn't thrilled with her. I thought you could find some more interesting options in here. And for me,
I
it
agree.
really
She's the
was
worst to
rosemary
beat. I think the
potatoes.
sister Nell is okay coming in from Gulfstream, and this trainer, his horses have been running a little bit, so that
I'm
was.
not familiar with him.
I'm not
But
familiar,
you're
but
right.
his horses
They
have been
have
live,
been running
so
when
that's
he
why I put the
ships
horse
in
second.
here.
Second.
I just think with Caironi out, I guess these are a little bit more on a level playing field. The horses that she's facing today versus what she's faced in the past. But she was beaten by Snow Liza fight, and I don't really like her.
No, it's more the trainer being live than
Yeah,
anything else. This horse should have been
exactly.
live. That's why I put her second. I don't disagree. By the way, I think the 4 is the horse to beat because she's run against better horses, and this is not a super strong field. I just don't have any great affinity for her.
Yeah.
Race number 8. So race number 8's a funny race, and the horse that I don't want here, you don't really want either. Not that he can't win. Is the number 8. No more talk. And here he is beating First Deputy, who's back, and First Deputy's coming off the claim for Jamie Begg. I know he was a super short price with Irad. It's just like they knew.
I agree. David Jacobson, he's shown the ability to strike while the iron's hot. But, I don't want to get – and look, they have the same agent too, but Irad's off, Jose's on.
I just think there's more different, interesting horses in this race.
Now, look.
This was a hungry field last time.
It was hungry, but I do like First Deputy a little bit in here.
But I don't think there's – see, here's the thing about First Deputy, Maggie.
I think he
if
had
your
a worse
pick is the
trip.
right pick,
Yeah.
you're not supposed to like First Deputy.
I know.
And I think obviously I think your horse is very dangerous. I picked him second because you're picking Ragtime Blues because he's the controlling speed in
Speed,
here.
right.
So if you want him as the controlling speed going 7, it's a little tough to make a big case for First Deputy. Now, the other thing you could
To
say is,
close.
well, I'll take the speed and the best speed I like and the best closer. And
Yeah,
say First
that's-
Deputy's the other one I want, so I've got a speed and a closer, and that's fine.
Right. That's kind of how I looked at it.
But I prefer, in that situation, Ragtime Blues because he's supposed to be able to control.
Yeah. Now, you took Lost in Rome. Kendrick does ride here, and he's been consistent kind of at the level. You have a lot of horses that
Moving up.
are they really $32,000
Exactly,
horses?
and he's moving down. He's picking up Kendrick. He's dropping down. And you got a lot of horses moving up. And the other thing is, I think with Kendrick, he can be a bit more forward.
Yeah.
And Kendrick will
And
look at
his
this race
best
and realize he's
races,
got to push it a little
historically,
bit coming out of there.
Have always been more forward.
Yeah,
this
so-
is a horse that I remember thinking couldn't win unless he had the lead.
It's just
at a point in
it's
his
another
career.
race with horses moving up,
Yeah.
and he's dropping down.
Yeah.
So I kind of think it's a subtle, real class difference. So I like Lost in Rome
I
in
agree
here.
with
I
you.
also, you didn't give Durkin's Call a sniff here.
I
I like
looked,
Miles
but-
16th is too far for him. He made
I
that
agree.
middle move.
And then I'm like, well, 7/8 makes a lot of sense. He's 0 for 6. He's not even hit the board at the 7. Maybe they've been against tougher fields.
Certainly
but
tough for 2 back.
Yeah.
He's a horse that's fast enough to get in there. Is going to be a price. I'm going to use him because you know what?
Yeah. He
No
has
more
the
talk
back
is going to
races.
beat me here. I would use 167
I don't
here.
trust him.
I
don't
felt like he got in a good run. Jacobson's horses were running well at that point. They've sort of regenerated. Now, he hasn't run a lot of horses lately.
Yeah.
He's going to beat me. I don't get him. I really don't.
Yeah.
Race number 9. So is it just Wardea? That's just going to bet that Pletcher horse off the distant second place finish to Harvey's little Goyle's sister?
Look.
She actually came back, and while she won, she ran 5 Beyer points lower.
Slower, yeah. And she was controlling that day. Wardea ran okay. There's just too much going on here to settle for Wardea. Am I wrong?
No, I picked her second. I'm not. I mean, you obviously like Libretto more than I do, so
I know she's not.
Let's show
she's,
Settling Storm in her last race.
Okay,
We'll
so
finish second and
Libretto
third.
isn't my typical kind of horse, but because she's an 0 for 10, she's trying to break her maiden, and there's a lot of horses in here that have a lot more upside than her. But Libretto, I thought, looked like a completely different horse first time out for Maker, and I think she is a horse that does want distance. I never got why they were trying to sprint her going back to last year. And I thought she ran okay here.
Had a
Again,
perfect trip.
she
though.
did have a
Saving
perfect trip,
ground,
but I
angling
think
out.
there's part of me that thinks that these horses are a little bit better.
That's fair. I don't know. Highland Grayson Tuesday. She's okay. I
Yeah.
want to like her. She's a Bonner Young horse.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. She's had so many chances, but maybe she's only second time for Mike.
But
more
too, I
distance,
kind of
also
thought
much more
that she
distance.
would get a little bit forgotten
Okay.
when it comes to price.
No. I think people are going to misjudge that chart comment, 2 to 3 wide pursuit. She was on the rail for 80% of the race before angling out in the stretch, maybe 90% of the race. I
I don't think she was on the
Yeah, she was on the rail. She broke a little
going
slow.
into the turn.
Okay, no, yeah, she was on the rail. No, the horse that I want to, I like Tawaret.
Okay.
Tawaret's first race was a ridiculous trip, where she didn't break really. She was steadied off. She rushed up on the inside. It just seemed like a bit of a trip. Then her second, listen, maybe Root Cause just isn't much worse. She was in that crazy race with the super slow pace the other day with a long shot one, but she did finish just behind Settling Storm. And then last time out, and she broke from post 12. She was 3 wide the whole way. She
Really
made a big
wide.
run on the turn. She had terrible position the whole way. And I'm just hoping with a 1.25 miles here with a longer run of the turn that maybe Joelle can finally get some decent position with her and she can run. I feel like she's been unlucky in her starts, and I don't believe she's going to be 7-2. I thought that Settling Storm would be a shorter price of the speed, but maybe I'm wrong. This
Yeah.
is one I wouldn't make
What?
the morning line. Craig may have this down.
Yeah,
right.
exactly. I mean, I think Settling Storm is very dangerous here on the front end.
You know what's funny? The pace projector has the 9 in front, but I don't see
What?
that. I know, and they have Settling Storm nowhere.
But Settling Storm was ahead of Libretto last time.
I'm just telling you what the pace projector had.
And
I'm
she's
not,
inside.
I think the Settling Storm will be in front. I agree. The only way she won't be in front is if Christophe, who hates being in the lead. Settling Storm just kind of has a little quit in her.
Oh, totally.
And they'll think less distance. She can win.
She can win. Yes. Okay, so my problem with Tawaret is, and I respect her, such sounds, 17-1. I can never say that name. Shalabaya?
Oh, Shalabaya is that, I don't know how to pronounce it. That's the horse that, I remember Chad Brown as a 2-year-old and was like
Yeah, she was tipped out all over
whipping
the
it
place.
up on the workouts
Yeah,
and didn't
and then-
debut until
and
last
then,
year and ran the race that
Christoph's horse won it.
yeah, the $40,000 horse beat the $3 million of the horses.
Yeah.
Beat the Bobby Flay horse.
Oh my God,
and then
Blue
beat-
Devil. Oh,
yeah, the
what's
Blue
her
Devil horse.
name?
She's still running. Kanisi.
Thank you. And I mean, yeah, she came back to win, but only like a 73 buyer. I just don't know.
I think she's had the wrong trips in her races, and I just feel like finally she can get a fair trip. She can win.
Okay.
You say a 73 buyer. How many buyers? Who in here is running fast figures?
No, I mean that like a 73 puts her on par here,
Yeah.
but that just puts her on par. And
I'm hoping she's better.
Okay.
I'm thinking she's had trip. I'm not in love with anybody in here.
no,
And I'm not running and jumping it better to 7-2.
I think it's a fairly even, wide open race.
Yeah, she's had less
That's
chances.
why I'm going to rely on what I see in the paddock.
And by the way, I'm not saying Wardea can't win. It's just going to be an IRAD over bet horse.
Yeah.
All that pent up frustration while he's been serving that suspension.
So I was wondering about that because we canceled on
Well,
Friday.
if IRAD, if that count,
So
it should count for him because he didn't take mounts. He could have
True.
taken mounts to the track that ran.
True.
If IRAD gets they make
I just
IRAD
realized
serve,
like, the tree is dead out there.
that would be completely unfair to. I know. I saw that too. It's so
What?
weird.
How did that happen? Anyway,
I know. I don't get it either. But
no, it's true. So yeah, so
maybe the Roots
he's
didn't
back
take
to-
when they transferred.
That's what I'm thinking.
If that, then
It's
I
on the
then I
pickup
then I
truck.
shouldn't have to take a day off because I took Friday off. But I would have come out here and done talking horses. So.
Yeah, right.
I mean, if I was working.
I was in the paddock.
Yeah, you were.
Yeah. I
So were
was.
the horses. So were
Yep,
the jockeys.
Yep, everybody was.
All right, we're done.
We're done here.
But you aren't. You got to head to Naira Bets. NairaBets.com. Use the promo code bonus200. We will match the $200 of your initial deposit. Head on over. Poor Classic Causeway.
I'm melting,
You deserve
by
so
the
much
way.
better.
I don't know how you got
Middle pick 4. I have a very light jacket on today. Middle pick 4, race 3, 2, 3, and 6 for the pick 4s. Cross country pick 5. This probably shocks the heck out of you. I so rarely have these. 3 at
the
Monmouth, 2 at
Boiling
Belmont.
Spring Stakes.
We have a $5,000 hit and split. The late pick 5 here and Monmouth, $2,500 each. Opt in. Do it for Classic Causeway, who needs a
He needs you.
needs a stable agent. We have the free to play